All right, here is the targets 10 and 11 homework. So if you didn't watch the notes video or you didn't take notes or anything, this is probably going to be just a little bit confusing, so I would recommend watching the notes first, but if you did, let's get started. So target 10 was finding a value of a composite function using equations, tables, and graphs. So for numbers 1 through 6, we're going to be using all 6 of these relations. We have tables, we have graphs, we have equations. So we're just going to be using whichever one it tells us to use. So for number 1, when we have a composite function like this, don't forget that we're going to be working from the inside out, and we're also going to be plugging in those numbers that we see to the x values of our relations. So for example, on number 1, we're going to start on the inside. We're going to do f of 0. So I'm going to look for my f relation. My f relation, let's see, is right here. It's this graph, right in the middle. F of 0 means I'm going to plug in 0 for my x value. So wherever my x is 0 is right here, and then I'm going to spit out the y value. The y value that matches up with, or that happens at x equals 0, is 5, it looks like. Sorry, I thought that was an 8. 5. So now I'll do j of 5. So now I work my way outside, j of 5. I look for my j relation, which is over here. It's this table. And j of 5 means I'm going to plug in 5 for my x and spit out that y value. So my final answer is 2. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing that. K of m of negative 1. So I'll first do m of negative 1. Where is my m relation? Right here, it's this graph. M of negative 1, whoops, is right there. That value is negative 1. That y value is negative 1. Right here. So then I work my way to the outside and I do k of negative 1. So k of negative 1, k is over here, is negative 10. So negative 10 would be my final answer. All right. Let's do the next one. Start on the inside, do j of 1. J is this table on the right. I do j of 1, so I plug in 1 for x, and I get 7. So now I'm doing h of 7. H of 7, h is this equation here. So I'm going to do h of 7 by plugging in 7 for x into this equation. So 2 times 7, sorry, all in the absolute value brackets, minus 3. So on the inside, I have 14 minus 3, which is the absolute value of 11, which is just 11. Don't forget, absolute value of any number, just you take the positive version of that number. Okay, let's do 4. Starting on the inside, I'll do f of 3. And f of 3, f is right here. F of 3 looks like it's 6. So f of 3 is 6, so then I do g of 6. So where's g? G is, oh, right above me, right here. So g of 6, to do that, I'm going to plug in 6 for my x value into this equation. So I'll get 6 plus 2. So the square root of 8. Now, we've learned how to reduce radicals. We've already learned that. So what I'm going to do is reduce this radical. I'm going to break this down into perfect squares. So perfect squares being 4, 9, 16. I know that 4 goes into 8, so I know this is the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. Well, the square root of 4 is just 2, so this becomes 2 root 2. So 2 root 2 is my final answer there. Okay, so for number 5, start on the inside, work our way out. I'll do m of 2 first. M of 2 is 2, so then I do k of 2. Where's k? K is this table over here. Tables are always easy. K of 2 is negative 4. All right, And finally, try to find a good color here. This blue. So first I start with, whoop, that is too light. I'll do, I'm trying to find a color. I haven't used it. I guess I've used all of them. Why is this taking me so long? I'll do this teal. Maybe we can see that. That's better. All right, first we'll do K of 2. K of 2 is over here again. This table, it's -4. So then I do H of -4. And where's H? Right here. It's this equation. So I'm going to plug in -4 for that x value. So the absolute value of, oops, not 1. All right, so the absolute value of 2 times, I'm plugging in -4 minus 3, close absolute value, and I'll get -8 minus 3, which is the absolute value of -11, which is just +11. All right, so lots of colors there, but hopefully you can see exactly what work I was doing for each problem, so that's why I was doing that. All right, down below, same kind of thing. I'm just taking 6 new relations and doing 6 new problems. So I'll do the same thing with the colors. Start with blue. So for number 7, I'm going to start on the inside. I'm going to do f of 0 first. Where's f? F is this graph right here. And f of 0 looks like is 6. So then I do j of 6. J of 6. J is over here. It's this table. J of 6 is 0. Number 8. Start in the middle. Do m of -2. M is this graph here. X value of -2. What y value is that? It is 5. So I'm working my way outside and I do k of 5 now. K of 5 is -5. All right, next one. Starting with j of 1. J is up here, it's this table. J of 1 is -1. So I'm doing h now of -1. And h is this equation here, which is 2 times -1, which is -2. And let's see, down here, g of f of 3, starting with f of 3. And f of 3 is, looks like it's 9. So now I'm doing g of 9. So that comes from up here. Plugging in 9 for x, I have the square root of 9 plus 2. So 3 plus 2, which is 5. Number 11, starting with m of 2. M is this tape or this graph right here. M of 2 is 7. So then I do h of 7. And h is this equation here. So h of 7, I'm just plugging in 7 for x. I do 2 times 7, and I get 14. And then last one, let's do this teal color again. Starting with k of 0. K is this table over here. K of 0 is 8. So I'm doing m of 8, working my way out. And m of 8 is, comes from this graph. That y value is 8. All right. So that's how we do all those composition problems. And let's go to the back side now. Target 11. Graphing the inverse given a function. So like I said in the notes, if you were listening to that video, I said that in the homework, they're going to give us the x values, but not the y values. We're going to have to figure those out on our own. And if you have a calculator handy, that's probably where you'd want to use this, or that's where you'd want to use it. So we're basically going to take all of these x values and plug them in, or the x in my original function to get out y values. So you're going to take, for example, 1/2 times -4, get an answer, and then add 3. So in your calculator, you can do that for all these values. if I take 1/2, multiply it by -4, I'll get -2. -2 plus 3 is 1. 1/2 times -2 is -1. -1 plus 3 is +2. 1/2 times 0 just gives me 0, plus 3 gives me 3. 1/2 times 2 is 1, plus 3 is 4. 1/2 times 4 is 2, plus 3 is 5. So now that I have my points, I'm going to graph all these points. So -4 comma, whoops, not -1. -4 comma 1, -2 comma 2, 0 comma 3, 2 comma 4, 4 comma 5. All right. Then, if you remember, all I'm gonna do to graph the inverse is switch my x and my y values. So I'll replace everything there. So my x's are now my old y's, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my y's are now -4, -2, 0, 2, 4. So now I'll just graph these new points that I have. 1 comma -4 is down here. 2 comma -2, 3 comma 0, 4 comma 2, 5 comma 4. All right, so there's my inverse graph. Now, if you remember also from the notes, I said that this red graph is a reflection, we talked about this, reflection of my blue graph over the line y equals x, which is just a line that goes up 1 over 1 from 0, just like this. So if I took that blue line and I reflected it over the purple line, I would get the red line. I don't think that's kind of curved there. Oh no, I erased the blue. There we go. I think that's better. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Oops. There we go. All right. One more. So I have my original function of -x minus 2, and I will plug in these x values for my equation to get my y values. So when I'm doing this, I can't forget that negative out front in my original function. So if I'm plugging in a -2, I'm doing -2, which is a +2 minus 2 gives me 0. -1 is +1, minus 2 is -1. -0 is just 0. 0 minus 2 is -2. -1 minus 2 is -3. And then -2 minus 2 is -4. All right, so plotting these points, graphing these points, I have -2 comma 0, 1, I'm sorry, -1, -1, 0, -2, 1, -3, and 2, -4. There's my original. And to get my inverse, I'm just going to flip-flop my x and y's. So my x's are 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. My y's are -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So plotting these new points, I have 0, comma, -2, -1, comma, -1, -2, comma, 0, -3, 1, and -4, 2. So here's my new inverse graph. And if you notice, it's actually the same line, just kind of like shifted a little bit to the upper left. But we can't forget what this actually means. It's actually just a reflection over the line y equals x, which is right about here. So if I reflect that blue line over that purple line, I will get the red line, which is actually just itself. So that's how you graph inverses. Flip the x's and the y's and graph the new points. So if you have any questions on the homework, don't hesitate to ask an Algebra 2 teacher.